Hello friends, this is Angelica. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Today we are going to be doing Christmas crafts. I have 4 projects I want to share with you and we have a lot to do, so let's just jump right into project 1. This first project is going to be coasters, and I picked up these coasters at Hobby Lobby in the wood section. I'm also going to be using transfers from this IOD transfer book. This book is called Kitschy Christmas, and it was just released a few weeks ago. I absolutely love the illustrations all through this book. I was so excited to get my hands on them when I saw the book come out. I'm also going to be using some foiled music paper. I have a couple sheets. I need to cut the papers down to right under 4 by 4. The coasters are 4 by 4, so I'm cutting the papers to 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. And since the coasters have round corners, I am also going to round the corners of the paper. To attach the paper to the coaster, I will be using Debbie's Design Diaries DIY liquid patina as my adhesive and an inexpensive brush. I'm just going to do a quick coat of this onto the coaster and also onto the back of the paper. I'm going to use these 4 bouquets of flowers on the top of the foiled paper. These flower bouquets were what inspired the coasters. They're the perfect square, and I already had these coasters in my DIY stash. I'm going to make sure I have the coaster in the right direction. The pattern is in the correct position. And then I'm going to add the transfer right on top. And the transfer book comes with this tool. And this is how I will add the transfer onto the paper. I made a few more sets of coasters off screen, and now I'm going to add a coat of liquid patina on the top to seal the transfers. And once the liquid patina was fully dried, I did add 2 coats of Mod Podge, the dishwasher safe gloss Mod Podge, and I let the first coat dry overnight before adding the second coat. And here's the final picture. The foiled notes really shine through the gloss finish. These coasters are so pretty in person. I'll be using these ornament frames for project 2. You can find these in the kids department in the kids Christmas craft department at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to cut the twine off and then get the pieces out from inside the frame. And I'm going to use that frame to pick out illustrations from the transfer book. Once I had my transfers cut out, I pulled out Vicki Boutin's Peppermint Kisses 12x12 paper pack to find colored or patterned paper to put in the frames. Now I'm going to use my die cut machine to die cut circles. I'm using scrapbook.com's nested circle dies. I found a circle that is the same size as the little circle for the frame. So I'm going to use that to die cut all of the pattern paper. After I did my die cutting of the circles, I decided I wanted to die cut some frames for the circles. So I'm using Pretty Pink Posh scalloped frames, circle scalloped frames die set to die cut small scalloped frames to attach to the pattern paper. To attach the paper to the circles, I'm again going to use liquid patina as my adhesive. The paper is now dry, so I have the transfer on the paper. I haven't pushed it down onto the paper yet. I'm using the scallop frame just to make sure I have it centered. And again, I'm going to use the tool to attach the transfer to the pattern paper. And then I will seal it with liquid patina. And while I'm adding the seal, I'm also going to glue on the scallop frame. I painted the frames with Debbie Design Diaries DIY paint. I used Carnival Red, Fancy Farm Girl, and Mint Chip. I was planning on distressing the frames, but once I put the frames over the transfers, I decided I actually wanted there to be more patterns on the frames. So I pulled out another paper pack, Christmas paper pack, and went through to find patterns I thought would coordinate with the transfers. I'm going to use another set of circle dies to die cut frames out of these papers. This is the inside out circle frame set from My Favorite Things. And these frames, these circle dies actually will stitch the inside and the outside of the circles. So the frames have stitching on both sides of the edges. Some of the frames were pretty white, so I broke up the white with archival ink. This is coffee. I used a little ink blender to add some ink to just to age the edges a little bit. And then I'm going to attach the paper frames to the frames using liquid patina. I used Ranger's multimedia mat to attach the circles to the frames. Once the medium mat was dry, I added a coat of liquid patina only to the pattern paper frame because I am going to sprinkle a little bit of clear glitter over the adhesive, and I only want the frame to sparkle. So I'm using Tim Holtz clear rock candy glitter, and I'm going to be very careful with the amount of glitter I'm adding to the frame. I just want it to be a sprinkle. I don't want there to be clumps of glitter on the frame. Once the liquid patina was dry, I did finish with a coat of super gloss varnish over the transfer to seal and give some shine to the inside of the frame, and this is the final picture. Project 3 is another ornament, and I bought this ornament last year after Christmas at a Joann Fabrics store, and I thought that this was going to be a perfect size for another one of those small transfers in the transfer book. So I attached the ornament to a dowel, and I'm going to give the ornament a coat of mint chip paint. Once the paint was completely dried, I found two transfers that I wanted to put on the ornament, one on each side. So I'm going to cut those apart and then line up as best as I can. I'm just eyeing it, trying to get this little bunny in the center of the ornament. I did this one really good. The one on the back side, not so good, but you know, it's a handmade ornament. I used my scissors to snip a few slits into the transfer sheet just to help the transfer lay down better. This ornament is pretty flat, but there is a curve to it, so the transfer sheet just needed a little bit of help to lay down. And now I'm going to use that tool again to press the transfer onto the ornament. Now I'm going to add a crackle to the ornament. I'm using Pentart Classic Crackle Varnish, and this is a 2-component crackle. So I'm adding the first component here, and this is really thick and it's white. It's really milky too. So I'm trying to not overbrush, but making sure I have an even layer all over the ornament. I'm going to set it aside to completely dry, and it's going to dry crystal clear and super shiny. And then I'm going to add the second component, and this is actually really thin. So this was really easy to add over the ornament, and I set it aside to fully dry again. The crackle dries clear, so to emphasize the cracks, I'm going to use DIY dark and clear wax. So I did a quick coat of clear wax, and now I'm going to use a blending brush to add the dark wax. I have a container of sprayed caps, so I went through my container and found a cap that would fit this ornament, and the last thing I have to do now is just add some ribbon to the cap. So I have a spool of velvet red ribbon that I pulled from, and I'm just going to tie that to the ornament. And here's the final picture. I just love this little bunny. He is so adorable. The last project is a picture, so I'm going to start off with a frame. I picked up this frame from Hobby Lobby. I got it on a 50% off sale, so I paid $3.50 for it, and I'm going to paint it and then distress it. I'm going to paint the frame with chalk paint. This is Home Decor chalk paint, and this is the color Patina. I'm going to give the frame 2 coats of this paint, and I'm using a sponge dauber to add the paint because I want there to be texture. I want the paint to leave behind a texture for the next step. Once the frame was dry, I'm going to add a coat of Big Top to seal in this paint, and then I'm going to let the top coat dry. Now I'm going to paint the frame with fancy Farm Girl paint, and my camera had a hard time with the cardboard and the green paint, so it's going to change tones several times here. The paint is now dry, so I'm going to use a damp towel to start wiping the paint off of the frame, and this is how I'm going to distress the frame. To put inside the frame, I picked this sweet little angel image to work with. So I found a distressed light pink scrapbook paper that I cut down to 5 by 7. The frame also came with an inside frame, so I'm going to tape that frame to the panel before I center the angel and attach her to the paper. Now all I have to do is put the frame back together, and that finishes this picture. I think she turned out so sweet, and I love these two colors together to distress a frame. Well, that finishes this video. I hope you enjoyed these 4 projects. If you have a favorite, please leave a comment down below and let me know which one it is. I'm pretty partial to this bunny. I think he's so adorable. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, be sure to subscribe. I did buy a few more products from the IOD Christmas 2024 collection, so I have some more videos coming soon with using those products. I want to thank you again for hanging out with me. Take care, friends.